Tye Richardson, Arkansas, ESPN Arkansas, joins us on 365 Sports. I was on with Tye and his guys earlier today. Arkansas, the Hogs are coming to Waco for Baylor, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and Tye joins us on 365 Sports. Tye, I was able to be on with you. Thanks for the invitation and vice versa. Glad to have you. And then I was able to listen to a little bit of the discussion after I was off for a little bit while I was driving around. So Arkansas is good. They have been at times a little bit erratic, but they are incredibly athletic and angular, and I got to feel it. Isn't that really what they will try to do with Baylor?
I think you got to run Baylor off the line. And David, appreciate you having me on. This is kind of a sentimental moment for my dad, who's a Sick'em 365 subscriber as a Baylor alum. So this is kind of a cool moment for him. But, yeah, this has to be a game where Baylor is run off the three-point line. Otherwise, they're going to carve the Razorbacks up. I know Kansas wasn't able to do that in the first half, a little better in the second half. But, I mean, I was watching Cryer and Flagler, and I remember those guys from the national championship team in addition to Thamba. They can shoot. Offensively, they're one of the best teams in the country that I've watched all year.
Tye, what has been is it the injuries that has kept Arkansas from reaching at least to this point where everybody kind of thought they would be? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you lose Trevin Brazile, who's on track to be maybe the sixth man of the year in the SEC's Arkansas's most versatile player at 6'10", can guard basically any position 2 through 5. And then you look at Nick Smith Jr., who is the 24/7 Sports #1 player in the country coming out of high school. I think he's only played in like 3 or 4 games. So it's been tough on Muss. He had to do this in the G League and various other places he's been. But when you lose 2 of probably your top 4 players, it's not easy on any college basketball coach. And he's at least got them to a point where they feel like confident again. But it's one thing to win against a couple of bad SEC teams. It's a whole other thing to do it in Waco, Texas tomorrow in the Farrell Center.
Tye, if you were summarizing the Razorbacks, what would you say their strengths are?
Defense, man. I mean, they get after you. That's what they've really been doing well. They've shot the ball better, but I don't know if that's a byproduct of the teams they played or if it's them getting in kind of a rhythm of sorts. But it starts with defense with Muss. You think about that team 2 years ago, and that's why I thought they had kind of a chance against Baylor. But Davion Mitchell, Butler, Teague, those guys just shot the lights out that night. And it's been that way consistently for the last 3 years. They're getting better. They just got to bring on the road. If this game's in the 70s or 80s, Bears are taking this pretty easily. But if it's in the 60s, I think Arkansas has got a good chance of pulling off the upset.
So have you been able to watch Baylor much at all this year?
Yeah. So with my dad being an alum, I always keep tabs on them. I saw them lose 3 straight open out in the Big 12 play, and I know they played some teams, some decent teams that we didn't know as much about until kind of the heat of conference play. But that Kansas game the other night, and I watched them. I think they beat Oklahoma. Maybe that was a 2-point win. So I've watched them a little bit. They've got just guys, a lot of different places they can score. Not as good defensively as that team 2 years ago, but their guard play. And I know Keontae George just had kind of a mid-tier game for his standards the other night. That's it. I mean, those guards that Scott Drew has gotten over the years have been remarkable. I love Lace Darius Dunn and Tweety Carter back in the day. Those were my guys that I love to watch.
Tye, what do you think is the best matchup for Arkansas player for player on this, and what do you think is the one they're going to have to worry about the most?
I think the best matchup that Arkansas has is probably Devontae Davis guarding Keontae George. Devo has shut down guys like Brandon Miller, Adam Miller for LSU, some really talented ball players. He is just so rangy, so physical, so fast. But if you look at the other 2 guys, I don't know if Ricky Council and also Anthony Black are going to be able to stay with Baylor's other guards. That's the matchup for me. If they get beat consistently, it doesn't matter if Devo limits Keontae George because those guys are going to be able to get to the rim or hit pull-up jumpers whenever they want. They're going to have to be really sound tomorrow afternoon.
So Anthony Black, similar to you, has a father who is a Baylor alum, and
yep.
The Bears were after him, as were pretty much every team in the country. But what have you made of his start to his career up there in Fayetteville?
Well, AB kind of had to readjust his role when Nick Smith went out. He became more of a scorer at times and had a couple games where he fell off. He's just really rangy, 6'7". He plays the game with joy. He's consistently looking for his teammates on the fast break. And He has a great crossover dribble. Needs to work on his float game a little bit. Has been better on ball defensively as of late. He's got a tough talent tomorrow, but he is a really fun player to watch. I think that people in Fayetteville and all across Arkansas are thrilled to have him as the starting point guard. He makes some freshman mistakes at times, but overall, it's been a fun experience with Anthony Black.
So you remember then, in fact, I think we discussed it back then, the Final Four. And in the tournament, in Indianapolis, and Baylor was able to blow Arkansas out. Are there still some stinging from that, just from a couple of years ago?
I hope so, because they're going to need every bit of motivation they need for tomorrow, David. And Muss is a guy that doesn't seem like he forgets things like that. There's a couple holdover players. You've got Devo Davis, who played that game. Kamani Johnson was not eligible because he was a transfer, but he was there. And then for Baylor, there's Stamba, there's Flagler, there's Cryer. So there's a few connections here, and obviously Drew and Musselman. But I don't know how much that's going to be used as motivation, but it at least is going to get mentioned because they lost to the best team in college basketball that year. And I think Arkansas and Muss feel like they need to repay it a little bit in their home court tomorrow, to be honest, guys.
Well, that was one of the toughest games Baylor played all year, the Arkansas game. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been the next one when they played Houston, where I remember Charles Barkley said at halftime when they said, well, what do you say if you're Kelvin Sampson? What time are we leaving in the morning? Like, that's what he said.
Yeah, no, I think he said, when does the bus leave?
What time's the bus leave? So, but they've been, I've been excited. It's kind of been building to this. As soon as the matchup came up, I was excited about seeing this one because, again, it's probably, especially for Eric Musselman, been 2 years in the just want to get another look at him.
Yeah, I actually asked Muss about that a year or so ago. I was like, you want another crack at these guys in the Big 12 SEC Challenge prior to it being announced? He kind of gave me a little smirk and then kind of went into a story a little bit and smiled. But I think he does. Now, is his team capable of winning this game tomorrow? Yes. Are they going to? That's a completely other story. I mean, so many things have to go right for Arkansas. They have yet to win a road game this season. If it somehow, some way was the Baylor Bears, a team that's won 5 straight and a ranked top 15 team, that they got their first win of the season, guys, it would be the most Arkansas thing ever, but I would not count this team out. I wouldn't necessarily be nervous heading into this game tomorrow, but I think it's going to be a more competitive game than some Bears fans might think.
Oh, I think it is, and I think Alabama blew Baylor out last year in the SEC Challenge, and we know how good they are, and so does Arkansas and everyone else. One of the things I think will be interesting, Baylor in their 5-game winning streak has been a lot better in transition defense, but they, against TCU, against Kansas State, they were allowing an inordinate amount of easy and sometimes uncontested shots at the rim. Isn't that what Arkansas likes to do, is play around the rim?
That's exactly what they like to do, David. This is going to be a team that is going to attack you over and over again. Now, they have shown a little bit more ability to shoot the 3-ball as of late, but that's still an Achilles heel. So Baylor's going to be able to give up some of those clean looks and probably get away with it. But I know that Baylor has a high foul count this season. Coach Arginal was talking about that yesterday. And I know that, as you just mentioned, they were giving up some transition buckets. If Arkansas is able to force some early turnovers, get some confidence, get out in transition, that's going to be huge for this team and just kind of a confidence boost throughout the game in the Farrell Center.
All right. Hey, Tye, thank you for your time. Be careful on your drive into Texas and also the drive into Waco tomorrow. I do have one more thing. When I was on with Tye and the guys earlier today, Paul, he asked me about the best places, and I even said this. There are those who haven't been here in a while don't realize how much Waco has truly really gone like nuts around businesses around downtown and a lot of that's available. There are some of the old names of places where people would go. But give him, and I told him if you like Cajun food, Fridays is a great opportunity just around the corner. Give him, Paul, a couple of new restaurants for him to go see that aren't the same.
I would say if you haven't been here in a while and you like barbecue, Hellberg Barbecue, it's off the beaten path. I mean, off the beaten path for where you're going to be in town, but it's not far and it's totally worth it. It's fantastic. I took my future brother-in-law there on Monday. Guest Barbecue is also really good, and that's in Waco proper in town. So those are both really good options. Double R old-fashioned hamburgers will be open before the game tomorrow. So if you're in the mood for a burger, again.
Do you like I'm talking in a very positive way, like a greasy spoon? I know you've been to health camp. Do you like that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Guys, I'm 28. I don't have to worry about health for another 10, 15 years. Come on now. He's a guy like Grease. Absolutely.
He's doing a show from where did you say it was going to be? The Twisted Root?
We're doing it the post game from the Twisted Root.
Yeah, and that's a good place.
Okay.
I've been there a couple of different times.
Yeah, that's good too. That's good too. So if you're going to go to Twisted Root, you're going to have a burger later. Go to Hellburger Guests, get some barbecue. I promise you won't be disappointed. They're both great.
Hey man, Tye, be careful on the way in. We'll see you tomorrow.
Guys, appreciate you having me. I'm excited about tomorrow.
All right, and I just texted your father about where we are. I'm not sure if he'll be able to get over here to say hi, but we appreciate you. Tye Richardson, ESPN in Arkansas. Appreciate his time on the Hogs. Coming up, we'll hear